Hi, it's Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style coming to answer your colour and style questions. I have a very hard time getting rid of things I've had and loved for decades and are still in good shape. Any tips on what to keep and how to know if something's truly classic and what to let go of? So, this is not everybody's issue. I know people who happily let things go very easily, but other people just hold on to things for an awfully long time. Now, I have to admit, my wardrobe has some stuff that's completely new or close to new, and other stuff that I've actually had for a very long time. So when I am deciding about what to keep and, what really truly is classic and will last for a long time versus what to let go of, I look at what are the kind of things that you can buy almost all the time and the shape and style doesn't really change. So we'll see this often in things like you think about your classic Burberry style trench coat, that doesn't really change. So that's something that can be kept for a long, long time. Your Breton striped t-shirt is another garment that really doesn't change and also can be kept for an awfully long time. Even many of the kind of classic crew neck cardigans, these things really haven't changed since the 50s. You can buy a version of them today. So one of the things to look for is, could I go into a store and buy something that's pretty much the same in the same sort of cut, style and shape today as the one that I have at home? So if you go out, do a bit of research, or go online and do a bit of research and have a look and go, does that look pretty much exactly the same as what I have? These are the things you can keep. These are the truly classic trend items that they really don't change shape or style. There may be little tweaks here and there, but there's very little difference between one era and another, and therefore you can't tell. But for other items, you want to go out and so if you can't find something that's the same in stores, then that is something that you go, if there's nothing like what I'm wearing, maybe that's telling you it's dated and it's time to let go of. Look, the thing is, fashions do come around and go around, and there are some sort of things that when they're more classic, like a classic kind of bomber jacket or these things come in and out of fashion. You might have to wait some time and you might have to have the storage to do this, but things will come and go. So I always think, but things like the overall silhouette, if you look to what is the current overall silhouette and does what you're wearing resemble in any way what the kind of more current overall silhouette is. This is where I find pants change so much more than things like jackets. So jackets do change. I rember the huge shoulder pads of the 80s, then the no shoulder pads of the 90s, very different silhouettes. But there are a lot of things that are kind of in between that. They are not extreme in any way. So as long as what you have is not extreme in any ways, we went from very high-rise pants to very low-rise pants to mid-rise pants, back to high-rise pants, probably going back to low-rise pants right now. But mid-rise is always going to be there because it's not an extreme. So it's looking at what's extreme versus what's not. Is the shape and style still the same? Even things like jackets, looking at the size of the armholes, things like that is part of that overall silhouette that we may not realize, but it is something to think about. And letting go, I always think if there's good wear left in it, but really it's quite dated, I go, let it go. It's not doing you any favors. And this is what thrift stores and stuff are great for. Somebody else can get the wear out of it or may be able to deconstruct it and turn it into something else. There are lots of people who go to thrift stores to find things that they can refashion into something more modern and amazing. But also too is one of the reasons we hold on to some things is to do with emotion. And different sorts of emotion that, we might have bought it somewhere special. It might have been a gift. It's got some good memories, from when we were wearing it, all those sorts of things. But also there is the logic that it was a good piece. It took me time and effort to find. It's still got good wear left in it. That's that little logical thing. So therefore, why should I get rid of it? But the reality is like all the kind of cost. What is the cost of keeping it? So if the cost is you have to build more rooms on your house because you're getting overwhelmed by your stuff, that cost is much greater than letting the garment go. And one of the things I would suggest if you have a hard time letting things go is to put them away where you don't see them. And for 6 months or something even, or like a month or 6 months or whatever it might be. It might be, I think I'm going to let this go. It's going to go into a box and I'm going to put it in the boot of my car. And then maybe it can stay there for a month. And then if I've not gone looking for that thing, if I've really not missed it. In a month's time, I'm just going to take that box straight into a thrift store, maybe write a date on it so you know what date, you know, that if you've not looked at it in this amount of time, like box it up. Don't just hang it in another wardrobe, because often when we hang it in another wardrobe, we still have to see it and then we have another emotional reaction before we can let it go. Versus if it's already boxed up, it's much easier to go, well, if I've not been looking for this thing, so I've not opened the box up, then it's much easier to let it go without ever looking at it again. So we're not bringing those emotions up or that logical reasoning up again. So I would recommend, putting things aside, not looking at them for a while, noticing whether or not there's something that you really missed. And of course, now if it's the wrong season, we're not going to miss it. But this is why it could be even worthwhile putting things, if you really find it hard to let go, put things away for a year. So in a year's time, if you haven't looked at it in that same season, then let it go. Hopefully that gives you a little help there to let go, because it can be hard.